Well, let's start with, we could talk, obviously, too, I want to talk about how we met or how we got connected.
Yeah.
But first, from your mouth, who are you? And you are here, we're talking about Beam, we're talking about some really wonderful community, bringing community together, bringing people together, connecting people. But tell us how you are. How you are.
Yeah.
Today has been.
Well. For what it's worth, Tressa, this is a brilliant way to start because it's been that kind of a day. Like everything that could have been odd happened, and it worked out fantastic. Like you couldn't have planned it any better, right?
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I just all of a sudden my words are like, what a great time for it to happen. That my words are just gone. So it's great.
Don't worry, I have plenty of words. They may not be in order and they may not make sense, and some may be only 4 letters, but I promise there will be some words being spoken.
You know what? However it has to happen today. However this has to happen. So let me be more clear. Tell us as far as what Beam is.
Yeah.
And what you do within it, but then we're going to go off from there. But
Yeah, sure. And I actually think I can tie it into today, which would be kind of fun. So I'm Joel Burstein. I am the CEO and co-founder of Beam Collaborative. I started Beam Collaborative with 2 other partners, Trisha Warwick and Will Allen. And we started it with really the idea of helping small businesses scale and grow within the Pittsburgh region. Now, what's interesting is I'm not from Pittsburgh. I grew up in D.C., spent 20 years in Miami, and of course married a Pittsburgher. Mm-hmm. And so here we are. I love Pittsburgh. My dad is from Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, so I spent a lot of time in the Pennsylvania area. And so I really enjoyed Pittsburgh. And when we decided to focus on small businesses, we really wanted to figure out how to help baby boomers transition their businesses to the younger generation. And, if you live in Pittsburgh, you see a lot of empty corridors. You can drive through a lot of neighborhoods and see empty storefronts. And the reality is that those storefronts are really difficult to refill. And you've lost the jobs, you've lost the infrastructure that supports that. And so you start to see neighborhoods deteriorate, all because of their main street districts that have slowly just been vacant for too long. Yeah. And so what we're doing is figuring out how do we help those retiring baby boomers, those retiring business owners, actually successfully and responsibly transition those businesses to support their neighborhoods and their communities, because most small businesses are fully aware, which goes into something we just went through, right, about these small businesses and how long they're there. But it also goes back to why I love Pittsburgh, right? And we talked about why I love Pittsburgh. And this is why you do this stuff. It's a very unique town, of very unique experiences. And there's just something about the culture and the way that people are here and the way that people grew up and their community around it, and that not only did they grow up here, but their parents grew up here, and their kids are currently here, and their kids are going to grow up here. Not many places that I've lived are that stationary. Mm-hmm. DC and Miami are both places that are very transient. People come and people go. That's not Pittsburgh, which makes this whole sort of project really interesting because people care about it. They want to live here for the next 20, 30 years. Yeah. And so there's a different interest in what we do and how we do it, and makes Pittsburgh the perfect place for us to do this stuff. So
yeah, the roots. Folks from here really are so proud of their roots and proud of who came before them here, and wanting to carry some piece of that in whatever way they can, carry that on. Or absolutely.
Yeah. Which is cool. And that sort of goes into what our experience was today, was just how connected we all really are to that. And they want to be. It wasn't disingenuous. It wasn't small talk. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's actually, okay, how are we connected? And once you figure that out, there's this new layer of engagement. It's very cool. Very unique. A very unique part of Pittsburgh.
Yeah. All right, well then let's talk about it. We gotta explain what we're talking about here.
That's true.
So today, it's been hours since we first met today.
Yes, it has been hours.
It has been dubbed our Pittsburgh Day of Fun.
Can that be the title of this podcast? Pittsburgh Day of Fun? I think we should. Yeah. Okay. Good,
yes,
good,
that's absolutely. And so we met, and we initially, to record, we're going to use a studio, and we got there and it wasn't available. There were some just kind of hiccups. And after we were there for some time and we weren't able to use the studio, and then Joel, take it away, Joel. You offered this, by the way, Studio Me. This place is incredible.
Yeah, very
I
cool.
had never been here. Yinzers, for those of you familiar with Duquesne, where Duquesne University is in that area, this is where we are. And I'm sitting in the most comfortable, soft chair right now. We both are. It is gorgeous here. But Joel uses this place and said, oh my gosh, I know a place where we could probably go. Let's go there.
Yeah.
But we had a little bit of time to kill. So Joel said, how about lunch? We said, yes, let's do lunch. So we went from where we were, drove. We drove separately. I then, on my drive, as things will happen, it was not a good day for people wanting to let people switch lanes or merge, apparently. So
sounds like Pittsburgh. That's part of the Pittsburgh day. Okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
That's absolutely part of it.
Very large trucks, and I couldn't get over and get off the exit that I needed to, causing me to have to completely circumnavigate the Duquesne University campus, pretty much, which is under a huge level of construction right now. Many lanes. We're down to one lane. So a delight. It was, let me put it that way.
And let's be clear.
Yep.
It's a Pittsburgh type street, right? Where it's like it's kind of one way and you have to go around. You can't just go to the next turn and make a turn. It's like, no. You have to drive into like 3 more towns to make a U-turn to come back, because some of those streets had stop signs, some had stoplights, some had none of them. And so there's 8-way intersections. So yeah, that's a typical uphills, downhills. Yep. Total Pittsburgh.
And then just one-way streets.
One way
also that you don't know
that you can't,
until you're about to turn
Yeah.
onto them. So that was what happened.
Adventure.
And it's definitely an adventure. Yeah. I finally meet Joel, who patiently was waiting on the street corner.
For what it's worth, I found people to talk to. Like that's a typical Pittsburgh. I was chatting away, so typical Pittsburgh. You can talk to anybody as long as there's people around. You're gonna have a conversation. So.
It's so true. And so you had gotten a recommendation.
I did
from the folks
at
here.
Studio Me.
Yeah, in the neighborhood, we want to grab lunch.
Yeah.
And they told you what this Italian place? How'd they describe it? Italian?
Yeah, they were like, look, they said it looks like a little hole in the wall. Mm. I said, but once you go inside, it's great. And we went inside, and it was exactly like they described. Just great, like deli. It was like a little market, but great little. They're making sandwiches right there.
It smelled so good.
It did.
Mercante is the name of it, and there were a lot of photos, and I could see it's like some like family photos and just really colorful. All these on the wall, and there was exposed brick, and you knew the building had been there for a while, and I saw one. I don't even know what to call it, but kind of like a placard on the wall that said Calabria, and half of my Italian family is Calabrese, so of course, as I am wont to do, as they're checking out, I said to the woman at the register, "Oh, are you from, or the owner's from Calabria? Are they Calabrese?" And she said, "Oh, yeah." She said, "The family is." And I said, "Oh," but she said, "Oh, yeah, Patsy." And I turn around, and this older than us gentleman was there who had been there the whole time. And you ordered the Patsy. That was the sandwich you got, Joel.
I did. I didn't know it at the time, but
and she said, "Oh, yeah,
that tracks."
See, I got the caprese sandwich, so good. But so I said, "Oh my gosh!" So of course I then had to go over to Patsy,
of course,
and say, "Oh my gosh!" blah, blah, blah. And then so we were talking about families, told me what town in Calabria they were from, and then he called me over to show me the map of Calabria that was tucked behind the shelving they had. And it was this, lovely, conversation. Oh, our families, blah blah blah. But then Joel, take it away.
Well, so he starts talking. And I'm not sure how we got there. I think he said, like, I live in Lebo.
Yeah. Or one of us. No, I think maybe you said it first, because I think he said, he was telling us something and we said it's our first time here. Or something. I feel like we said it first, but who knows?
Yeah, I think, and you're maybe right. And basically he goes, I live in Lebo. And we're like, well, we live in Lebo. Like, of course, because this is how this is going to go. And then, of course, we started having this whole conversation and where he grew up, and then they've owned that place, and they've had this place since the 60s, and, and again, you start having this deep conversation, and you have to figure it out, like, how connected are we? And so then we started to throw out a name here and there, and he's like, yeah, of course, I grew up with his dad, and then we started having that piece, and it's like, what street do you live on? And it's like, oh, yeah, of course, I know, and then so-and-so was on that street, and then we went into, like, all the different, and then where his kids knew their kids, and then it was just, and I was joking with you, but I used to tell people when I first got to Pittsburgh, I go, if you are in an elevator long enough, you will know the names and ages of the people, of the kids of the people's kids in the elevator. Like, that's Pittsburgh. Like, you can stand there, and we had this entire conversation about Lebo and Pittsburgh and Central Catholic and this place in Duquesne and which restaurants to go to down in the South Hills. I mean, it was just very, very, very typical and very genuine conversation. Nobody wants anything. Very genuine, sort of just back and forth. What do you think? Do you like this? You got to try this place. You should do this. And then it's over. And then he goes and drives away and waves to us on the way out. Like very, like I that doesn't happen in Miami. I can tell you that. That's not happening in Miami. So.
It was that word genuine, of course. And the longer we talked, the connections, especially between the two of you, it became every name that you said. He's like, and one of you knew. I mean, it kept going.
Yeah, I mean, we knew where people's kids went to colleges and stuff. I mean, it was like, it was,
and again, geographically, so we're in a place that's, well, at least I think 6 miles from the neighborhoods we live in. Like, we're not, it wasn't even like an adjacent neighborhood. Like, the fact that all three of us in that space, as we're talking, the fact that he said, the fact that we all lived in the same neighborhood. Wild. I mean, that was
Well, that's sort of what makes Pittsburgh to some degree, right? Is everybody still has the neighborhoods and the places they grew up and lived in, and people typically don't necessarily venture too much out of those neighborhoods for 6 generations. It's not like it's not like this is where my great grandparents and we've lived in the same house since 1880, right? It's just and so it is sort of fun when you venture out a little farther and you're like, oh yeah, you're connected, and because typically people don't venture this far out of their neighborhoods.
Yes,
in Pittsburgh.
That's what you're saying that gives me, the reason why I actually end up asking him, knowing, okay, so and this is a man, he's in his 60s, and he's living in Mount Lebanon, and where we are is miles away from that, right? And he said he was born and raised there, and I ended up saying, so when your family came over, where did they live? And I hadn't thought about it, but when you just said that, Joel, that's why. Because in my brain, I'm like, well, okay, wait a minute.
How'd you get to Mount Lebanon?
How did this shop get here? How did you get to Mount Lebanon? Because that's a totally different. And then he said, oh, well, they settled in Oakland, and then that made sense. It all started to come together.
Sure.
But that's so funny because that obviously, was in the back of my mind.
And they moved to Mount Lebanon in the 60s, and he still lives there.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's
the new.
That's 60 years ago. I mean, like,
oh my God.
Like, I mean, think about that. Like, that's what's crazy about this whole thing. Like, that's Pittsburgh in a nutshell. I mean, that's I was going to bring back to the Beam piece of just like, that's neighborhoods. I mean, and you're talking about which restaurants and which shops. And he was talking about what this neighborhood once looked like and what it looks like today and how it went through this rebirth. And we're a neighborhood economy here in Pittsburgh. We are. We're a neighborhood-driven economy. And that's unique. I mean, I find, at least in my experience, it's pretty unique and it's pretty cool. It's what makes Pittsburgh really very cool.
Oh, yeah. So can we delve into that a little bit? So when you say that neighborhood economy and what is unique about it, what do you mean by that?
So, when I lived in Miami, as an example, in the late 90s, we didn't have all of these different neighborhoods. That eventually worked out that way. They eventually built in that manner. But in Pittsburgh, everything is very established. There are lots of little neighborhoods that have downtown corridors. That's not common everywhere. Like, you may have a strip mall in an area that's downtown. These are literally little tiny downtown neighborhoods, from Crafton's to Carnegie's to Mount Lebanon's to Oakland, which is big, but Duquesne, right? Uptown, and we just have these very, very clearly defined little downtown corridors because everything was a small town at one point, and so that hasn't gone anywhere, and so you identify with those things. You identify with each one of those, right? We have like 91 neighborhoods in Allegheny County, right? And so each one of those
is in the city of Pittsburgh.
Is it
in
just
a technical city? Yes.
Yeah, so think about that for a second.
So there's even more,
and they've managed to stay. We have all of the different school districts. You live in Virginia, Fairfax County is its own district. That'd be like Allegheny County having one district, which would be a mind-numbing concept to anybody here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It would be ridiculous. We would rather have 47, whatever. I mean, it's a big number, but whatever that number is of school districts. Like, that's how neighborhood, place-based we are, we believe, we think. Everything about Pittsburgh is based in its neighborhood. Where are you from? Where'd you go to high school? So like I'll give you
Yeah.
an example. When you're in Miami, people go, "Where are you from?" Where you're from really means how far back do you go? Like you were talking about being Italian and Irish, right?
Mhm.
When I was in Miami, I was Jamaican and Jewish. I'm still Jamaican and Jewish, so it's not as I was, but I'm still
I was going to say,
I'm still
that
those two
changed
things.
when
Like
you
I have
came to
not,
Pittsburgh.
I've not given up either one of those things. But but that's how people identified with you. They would identify with you based on your culture, right? But in Pittsburgh, the question is always, where'd you go to high school? Right? They want to know because that's when they go down the next path of going, well, do you know so and so? I know so and so went there. And so when I first got here, people would always ask me, they'd be like, Joe, where'd you go to high school? And I go, I grew up in DC. I didn't go to high school here. And they were like, oh. They were like, look at me like, I don't know what to talk to you about now. So like, you're weird, right?
That was my one. That's all I had.
That's all I had,
Yeah.
right? So then they would go, well, what brought you to Pittsburgh? And I'd go, my wife. And they were like, oh, well, that makes sense. What do you think the next question was?
Where'd she go to school?
Where did she go to high school? Of course it is. And, then, and I would tell them, and they'd be like, oh, do you know so-and-so? And I'm like, no, I still didn't go to high school here, but she might, right? Like, but like, that's how neighborhood we are here, which is why, like, the focus on preserving that legacy, that lifestyle for this economy, for Pittsburgh is kind of fun. It really, because it means more to people, I think, than as an outsider, I don't think Pittsburghers recognize. I mean, I think they know it, but like it's a really critical part of who they are and what they stand for. So it's a really fascinating place.
And then connecting that with, especially with our buddy Patsy today.
Yeah.
That idea, and you even were talking about it a little bit with him, but the work you do with legacy.
Yeah.
Right. And as these small businesses are the plan, and as they're going to turn over. But just hearing you talk about it now and comparing Miami, for example, it's making even more sense to me when you're saying why what you do works so well in a town like Pittsburgh.
Right.
Because of the generations, right? Because
Sure.
there tends to be more generations of family, perhaps, or for it to turn over too.
Yeah, because if you think about it, right, there is a generation of Pittsburghers that left.
Mhm.
Right. And you know that because most major cities have a Pittsburgh bar that was founded by some Pittsburgher that at some point left, right? And so you have to think about, if you understand the history of Pittsburgh, right? You go to the 1900s and turn of the century, it was probably one of the wealthiest places in the world. And you think of the steel burst, right? The steel economy bubble bursting. Well, it wasn't a bubble, but the steel economy just sort of falling apart. In the 70s, you think about all those people that lived here that either left or then spent the 80s telling their kids to leave.
Right.
And so there was a belief that it wasn't really going to come back. And then it did, right? The education, med, and technology all sort of brought the economy back. And if you really start to think about how that transition happened, you realize how many people left over that time period and how many people have actually come back. And when they come back, they've already left and they're like, I like it here. I like this version of Pittsburgh and I want to stay. But they're still very based in where they grew up, and whatever neighborhood that is. And now that they've left and come back, they know they don't want to go. And so when that generation left, you saw a lot of businesses closing because the kids they weren't sure yet. But today, people want to stay. And so those businesses need to be here, right? We live in Mount Lebanon and Washington Road is filled with businesses. If those businesses are gone, Mount Lebanon is a different place.
Wow, yeah.
And I think that happens across the region. And I think because of that neighborhood base, people care more than just capitalism. There is something besides capitalism here because I live here. This is still my home. In DC, it's not my home. It's my temporary home. In Miami, it's like this is my temporary place. There's a big difference in my temporary versus where I live because I do want the grocery store to stay because I still want to go to the market even after I retire because I'm gonna die in this house. Right?
Yeah.
Very different than if I was like, well, I'm leaving town permanently. Like, I don't really care. It doesn't affect me if the grocery store's not here.
Right.
But that's not the case here. That there's still this desire to make it work. And so we built a system that allows for those businesses that are fabrics of our neighborhood to transition responsibly and effectively for people. And there's a desire to do it. So
how does it work? I mean, we're going to spend 3 hours We're going to do a
walking
seminar
through.
on exactly every step by step for lay people as we're listening. But
I like the way you did that, Tressa. That really sounded NPR-ish. Like we were going to go into one of those. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That was solid.
But in general, I guess. As far as how does it tend to work? Like, how do folks come onto your radar, so to speak, right? These small businesses or these folks who may need your services.
Yeah, so we do a lot of events. We do big events where we invite people out. We do free seminars. We are structured as a nonprofit, which is a really big deal because we don't really care whether you want to sell it to your employees, whether you want to sell your business to your family, whether you want to sell it to one particular employee, whether you want to sell it to a third party. I don't care. Whether you want to buy a business, you want to buy a franchise, or you want to start one from scratch as a startup, or whether you want to buy an existing one. None of that matters to me. All that matters is that we continue to have this economy. So being a nonprofit allows for us to focus on that without worrying about profit. We can help a $200,000 business transition responsibly because people like getting their haircut at a certain place, or people like the neighborhood bar, even if the bar is just slightly profitable, which would, the banks and the venture capitalists and all these in the not venture capitalists, but the private equities of the world wouldn't want to touch that. The person who lives in the neighborhood has always dreamed of owning a bar, and they just want to be down there and talking to people and hanging out, and they just need to make a little bit because they're not struggling right. So there is this economy for that type of stuff. So we identify them by doing all of these awareness campaigns and doing marketing and doing events and trying to get people to be more engaged. That we work with very large organizations like Pittsburgh Water, which covers the city of Pittsburgh, is one of our biggest sponsors, Dollar Bank. And they work in a lot of community neighborhoods, and we're working towards helping all of those customers and those individuals and those small businesses really connect back to this option. You'd be surprised how many people don't realize that they can transition their businesses responsibly. And you'd be surprised how many people would love to be entrepreneurs, but think the only way is for me to start up from scratch, which is a very, very difficult way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we help people sort of figure out the right path for them. We help them make the right decision. And we do all that through we built a customized AI-powered, what we call a decision guide. And so anybody can do it. It takes 15 minutes. You fill it out, and it is a customized roadmap to what you should do at any one of those stages: selling, buying, and it tells you all about you. And so it's weird, the only ones that have anything like this. And it took us a couple of years to build, but yeah, if we can guide people to the right thing for them, the rest of it usually works out. It's when people don't know what to do that it becomes a problem. So we help people make really strong decisions.
I'm thinking that too from the other side of it, of the entrepreneur, the person who doesn't yet have the business,
right,
that you help from that side of it as well for someone who would be interested in.
Yeah. Yeah, because people don't know. You wouldn't really be surprised. It's really complicated. Like it's like, look, can I paint a room? Yeah. Can I paint it efficiently? No. Would it take me significantly longer? Yeah. But I could figure it out. I think people feel that way about business. It's out there. It's online. I can figure it out. You can't. It's not. It's really complicated. Financing is complicated. Leadership is complicated. Legal is complicated. Accounting is complicated. The taxes are complicated. God forbid you do business in Ohio and Pennsylvania, 2 different tax structures. I mean, like it's just little things like that, and it's like, what's right there? You do business in West Virginia, it's right there. You may run into completely different problems, and so I think there's a lot of education that people need to have, and sometimes people have skill sets that they took from corporate America or their previous jobs, and they can acquire a business that aligns with their skill sets, but they get paid day one. They get income day one. They have employees day one. They don't have to worry about websites. They have accountants. I mean, they have all of this infrastructure that allows you to just focus on the thing you do best, whatever that might be. And that's a great way to start a business.
Oh my gosh. Almost seems too good to be true. But I know you're not lying.
I'm not.
Not after our day of fun, that's for sure.
That is for sure.
The bonding.
That is for sure. It's complicated. Like I make it sound easy, but it's difficult, right? Because you have to have, there's 2 sides to every coin, right? You have to have a buyer and a seller.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the sellers aren't always ready. So that's really where a lot of the work happens,
there's
is
nuance.
just kind of putting that together. But
Yeah. Are there any stories or folks, without obviously giving away their identities, if I'm not asking for that, but that as you've been working on this, that kind of stay with you or that you think about, or a neighborhood or something like that thus far?
Any stories that I can, let me see here. It's interesting. A lot of the work we've done so far has been about helping people that are ready to sell a business, maybe not sell it. Maybe, right, and maybe they weren't ready to sell it, but we have some clients that were looking to close. And they came to us because they didn't know what their decision should be, right? Like, what is the thing that I should be doing?
Mm-hmm.
And so we walked them through the decision guide. And in the end, we sent them down a path where they had to work with their accountant to figure some things out. And once they did, they realized that they were not in a position to sell it, and they were going to continue working on it, which preserved, like, I think it was 7 jobs.
Mm.
So, I mean, that counts.
Yeah.
Those 7 jobs matter. And then their customers were being serviced, which was like 100. So those people all got preserved, right? So all of that economy kind of kept going, right? And they just didn't know. They were ready to shut it down, right? And so we were able to help guide them in the right path. Yeah. And I think that's the type of stuff that we're looking to do. This is my point why it's a nonprofit, because if I was a for-profit, we would have made no money.
Right.
There was no profit in doing nothing.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, think about it. Like, it sounds silly, but like, that's the whole purpose. Yeah. If it was just a for-profit business, I would have had to force them into a decision in order to make money. I would have had to force a transaction in order to get paid. I don't have to do that. I have to help them keep their economy going, keep their businesses going. And I fundraise as a nonprofit through other means. And so that's a win. That's a win. Keeping a business is a win. So,
yes.
Yeah.
How did you get into this type of work? Or what do you think about your personality or your journey thus far in life, but kind of led you to doing this?
Yeah. So I worked in financial services for many years, for 17 years. And we built that business through mostly small transactions, buying small businesses. We did about 33 of them over 12 years. And so there was, I did it a lot. I did a lot of understanding how the acquisition works, what they need to do, and then transitioning the business and what makes it successful on the back end. And so we built a pretty large organization around that. And I think we were starting at maybe 3 million, and when I left, it was about 50 million. So we built a lot of that through acquisition. The majority of it was through acquisition. And so when we moved up to Pittsburgh, I started a business, bought a franchise, had that for 5 years, and sold it. And then when we started Beam, we really wanted to help small businesses, and I had enough experience in the M&A space, the small business M&A space, the under $1 million, right? The under 2 million, basically under everything under $5 million. I'd had enough experience where I was like, this is an opportunity for people. Plus, Western Pennsylvania has one of the oldest populations in the country, right? So, you put those two things together, you start to think about, okay, where's the real opportunity here? And so that's how we figured it out. We knew that there was an opportunity for people to take advantage of this M&A work. And one of my old clients, when I had my franchise, was a business broker. And so I'd spent years coaching him in his business and helping his business grow, that, I knew how to do it. Like I had idea from my experience, but then I worked with somebody who did it on a daily basis, who handled like manufacturing businesses and healthcare organizations, right? Like, people forget that if you go out to rural communities, there may be one dentist in like 30 miles. You lose the dentist, it's a problem. If you're in Mount Lebanon and you lose a dentist, there's one probably about 3 or 4 doors down. Right? So even in, the urban and rural problem is also very different. We've seen outlying counties where they would lose their therapist, and that might have been the only therapist for the school system. Yeah. and now they don't have one. And it takes years to get somebody back out there when, quite frankly, they could have done a better job of transitioning that business, helping find somebody, if somebody even knew. But most people don't even know that's going on. So how do they start to do that? So once you start hearing all this stuff and you start to really think about it, you go, there's just a better way. And quite frankly, we've, working on Wall Street for 17 years, I know for a fact there are lots of M&A transactions and people are making a lot of money doing this stuff. Why would we not take this to the people?
Huh.
So.
Yeah. Is there something that has surprised you about, or I mean, there are probably more than one, but like anything as the more you get into this, meeting folks, getting into this work, and once you really, that space between like, okay, we're going to do this thing and then doing the thing, and as it starts to take off, it's something that, I don't know, good or bad or whatever it is, but just something that has kind of surprised you so far.
Yeah, I would tell you that the amount of people who are aware of what I'm talking about is minuscule. Like I educate a lot of people on what we're doing, and it's not commonplace. People don't think that this is possible, and yet it happens all the time. It happens all the time, and I think people just don't realize, and I don't think they understand the scope of it. 91% of all small businesses are under $1 million.
Wait a minute. I'm going to think about that for a second.
Yeah.
91%.
Small businesses are under $1 million. 99.9% of all businesses in the United States are small businesses as defined by the SBA. 99.9. There's roughly 36 million businesses. I think like 32,000 or something like that are large. The rest of them are small businesses. Of that number, only 6 million are actually employer-based businesses. The other 30 million are home-based stuff.
Wow.
Not just home-based, but solopreneurs, right? So you could have an Amazon store, for example, like that would count.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's only about 6 million that are actually employer-based. So I think people are surprised, but 6 million is a big number. Yeah. 25% of all small businesses actually ever transition. The other 75% close. So if you start doing the math on this, the number becomes pretty alarming. There are estimated 43,000 small baby boomer owned businesses here in Western Pennsylvania. And if you follow that math, there would basically be about 13,000 of those are at risk of closing. So there's a big number of businesses to really talk to and think about that are baby boomer owned businesses. So yeah, so what surprised me, one is how big the problem is, how few people know that it's a problem, and how many existing business owners don't actually think about it in advance, because it takes time to prepare to do that. It takes, it'd be like if you wanted to sell your house, you can't just sell it today. It would take, there's a time period, right? But you conceptually know that there's a time period for me to prepare my house, get it ready, get the agent, put it on the market. Right? I understand that because we have normalized that conversation. We have not normalized transitioning small businesses, and so people don't always think about it. But that's what we're trying to do. Get it so that people know.
And the fact, and I would think that part of that is because they're busy just running their business.
100%.
Right?
100%.
And so and then it can, in a way, right? You might not have a lot of time before you realize that for whatever reason, you have to close the business. So how wonderful there are folks like you who are like, here, we can help you. So you can still run your you can still do what you want to do, run your business, focus on all the things that go into running a small business.
Yeah.
And we're going to be here to help you so that both of these things can happen at the same time.
Yeah. And what people don't realize is that while capitalism lives at the top, people typically don't start small businesses to get rich. They start small businesses to get free. Very different ballgame.
Yes.
Right. And so if I go in thinking to myself, I just want to be free. I just want to I'll be able to, take care of my kids. My kid has a disability and I'd like to be able to spend more time with them. I can't work in corporate environment anymore. Let me take this experience and do my own thing. They're typically saving along the way. They're putting money in their 401ks. They're saving along the way. And their business was not an asset. Their business was a way to survive. It's a very different mindset. And this is the part that I have to get people to understand, because they always take these big capitalistic ideas like, well, don't you want to sell it for this value? And it's like, I talked to someone yesterday and she was like, I didn't start this to be a millionaire. It's like, I'm happy if I share with my employees. Like she's fine with it. Very different mentality. Why would she not share it with her employees? You mean the 5 people that work in her organizations that she's known for the last 15 years that have helped her build it? Of course she cares. These are the same friends and family. I mean, these are the same. This is part of. Goes back to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that in big East Coast cities, right? Like that's the kind of thing that these are the same people that live in my neighborhood. These are the same people I've known for years. Goes back to the story.
Yeah.
It's whole family members running this business. Like so, there is more to it, and that's what makes this smaller market make sense for us. The $1 million and below.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about the money. That's what makes this fun. That's what makes this cool. And I think what I get to tell people is that's the big surprise. That's the big thing that shocked me was that people have this belief that if I own a business, I am capitalistic at all costs. And it isn't the case. These small businesses, they are more than happy to just run their street of window washing and just go up and down the street and window washing and do that work. And they're cool with it. And they have their people in the business and they know where they're going and they make their money and they put their kids through colleges and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. No one's bothering them. They don't have to be bothered. They don't have to worry about AI and websites. And they just get up in the morning, they go clean some windows, they come home at the end of the day. There's no real I mean, there's an entire economy of people like that. And we can't afford to lose that because there's an entire younger generation of people that want it. And we just got to help them get it.
And that's what you're doing it.
We're trying. Got a long way to go.
Hey, well.
A lot of the companies.
Yeah.
That's true. Starting, yeah, fair enough.
This is how it all begins.
This is humble beginnings.
Yeah.
I'm not a humble guy, so that's crazy. So whoever's going to listen to this that knows me is going to go, he's not humble. That's not.
Did you just say humble beginning? Okay.
I didn't even know you knew what the word meant.
It's the first time he's ever used it in a sentence.
Yeah, he didn't even use it right.
Yeah.
That's not what it means.
Fact checkers. We're going to have fact checkers on this. Oh my gosh. So. Where do people go to learn more about what you're doing with the website?
Yeah, so they can go to beamcollaborative.org. But, the most up-to-date stuff's on our YouTube channel. So
of course it is. What is that? I mean, I know what you...
Yeah. It's a website that has, you can search for things and there's videos. And then the videos will teach you stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Red. It's a red logo, like a little white triangle, owned by Google.
Oh my God. I've done so well. I'm ending. This is wrapping up the way it began. Maybe that's only right for the day. So on the YouTube. Okay, good.
The YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And so as folks, learn more about it and then
they can learn, the YouTube's great because it gives us a chance to do some education on it, right? So people can watch a quick video of lessons you need to learn, things you need to know. You can see what we're doing. We update it weekly. We are last 3 months, I think we've added 900 subscribers. So we have stuff coming. We have content coming out all the time. So YouTube's probably the best place to learn without having to worry about it, right? If you'd like to have a call with us, you can go to the website and we're happy to offer those conversations to help people make decisions. So it's and like I said, if you're under $1 million in revenue, our services are all free. So,
oh my gosh,
yeah, we fundraise for it through other means. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for today in the myriad ways that can be defined.
It was a fun day.
This was a fun day.
Yeah, it was a good day.
Yes. It was good to see you again.
You too.
Oh my gosh, wait.
There's more.
How did we connect? I almost
forgot. You have to tell this story.
I have to. Okay. So, what do I say? Okay, so a friend of mine from college, Penn State, as listeners will remember, whom we, after Penn State, we're in New York at the same time. Yes? Now, oh my gosh, it's been so long. I think we were, but hadn't seen each other in years. And Meryl, is who I'm talking about. And we saw each other this past fall. Listeners, you may remember that the woman who she actually is who I featured in the 1-year anniversary of the podcast, Karen Cordaro. She passed away in the fall. And Meryl came into Pittsburgh, where Meryl is from Pittsburgh, for her memorial. I didn't know she was coming in. We saw each other. It was so wonderful to see her. It had been so long. And we reunited. And then not long after she went back to New York, I got a text from her. It said, Tressa. I should read it exactly, but I'm paraphrasing. But basically it was like, okay, I have to introduce you to someone. You must meet my cousin. He is amazing. And he's back, he's in Pittsburgh and he lives in your neighborhood. And here we go. And he's doing incredible work for the city of Pittsburgh and what he's doing. And I said, yes, please. And that is how. So thanks to Meryl.
Yeah.
Shout out to Meryl for connecting us.
Big shout out to Meryl.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, she did a great job. She's good at that. I mean, like
she's very good at that.
That's sort of like second nature for her.
Yeah.
Sort of see that connection and make it work.
Yeah. Be like, you two need to meet up. So thank you, Meryl.
Thank you, Meryl.
And thank you again, Joel.
Thank you, Tressa. It was fun.
Yay.
Appreciate it.